Let's roll, baby. Welcome in. It is the week one aftermath on the Ringer Gambling Show via YouTube, of course, with the East Coast Bias Boys back by popular demand. John Jastrzemski in Studio 70 in New York City. We have Joe House in Washington, D.C. We have Raheem Palmer in Las Vegas. We'll get to the Bears and the Vikings. We'll go through the mulligans where the boys can maybe have a bet they could take back from their week one card. Yes, we got the look aheads to week two as well. Gentlemen, we got to start with Sunday Night Football and what it means for the rest of the AFC, what it means for the markets as far as the Super Bowl, as far as the conference, as far as the MVP is concerned. House, all three of us bet the Baltimore Ravens yesterday. Baltimore had a 15-point lead with 4 minutes to go. They were smoking Buffalo. Buffalo had absolutely no answer for Zay Flowers. They had absolutely no answer for Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson is up to his usual tricks. And then all of a sudden, the game turns on a dime. You get a couple of fluky plays from Buffalo. You get a Derrick Henry fumble. You get the inexplicable decision by John Harbaugh, who all of a sudden now turns into the cowardly lion on 4th and 3 and doesn't trust his quarterback and willingly punts the ball back to Josh Allen. What do you think is going to happen? John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills covered a number. I'm sure, House, it was a monstrous swing in Vegas, and I am still here on this Monday, sick to my stomach that I was on the wrong end of it.
Well, here's the thing, JJ. Recall, it wasn't that long ago that the Baltimore Ravens were getting points in this football game. And if you had the Ravens at +1.5, all it would have taken is getting down on the Ravens about a week to 10 days ago. You were a winner. Now, so I ended up with having tickets on both sides of that situation. But, you know, the big story is Baltimore once again just inventing ways to lose these highest leverage games. I do want to give a round of applause to NBC, to the NFL, the schedule makers. We got the game of the season in week one on Sunday Night Football. I mean, I do agree with whoever's putting out there. Has there ever been a better Sunday Night Football game? And, you know, to the credit of everybody, nice, just pat on the back across the board. But, you know, all of the commentariat has already been out there with indictments against Baltimore that are properly levied. And let's all revere the greatness of Josh Allen. The MVP walks into the first game of the NFL season and says, I'm right here, y'all. Try and stop me. It was a very fun thing to see. I regret losing in the Ringer 107. I regret losing a little bit of money on it, but Dream, I'm coming away glass half full from that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I got to remind you guys, like House said, you got to get the best of the number. We gave this out on the Ringer Gambling Show almost 2 weeks ago. And then obviously we do have our Ringer 107 where we had to play the available number. But if you listened to us 2 weeks ago, you would have got them as a dog and you win anyway. Now, when it comes to this game, I just think when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens, for whatever reason, they just stop being aggressive once they have a lead. Like you watching that game and, they average 8.6 yards per play. Like, I mean, you're talking, it almost felt like you were watching a video game with the amount of explosive and chunk plays that the Ravens were getting. And then in the fourth quarter, it becomes run, pass, and then punt. So their 3 possessions in the fourth quarter were 2 punts and 1 fumble. So they just stopped being aggressive. And, when you have a killer on the other side of the field, like Josh Allen, you can't rest on your laurels. So I just think it's a lesson for the Ravens that they have to continue to put up points because ultimately their defense is not going to be able to stop a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes.
No question. And if you look now at the AFC as a whole, fellas, and Raheem, we kind of were all over this narrative and all over this theme about how the rest of the season was going to shake out with the aftermath of this big tiebreaker type of game between Baltimore and Buffalo. The AFC East is a flat out hot mess. I mean, the New England Patriots are an overrated football team. They have a lot of problems. They have a lot of issues. The Jets, despite the positive signs you saw from Justin Fields, are not a team that's going to be keeping me up at night if I'm Josh Allen, if I'm Sean McDermott. And then there is the abominable disaster in Miami, which we'll get to, as they look like a team that's lost at sea. They look like a team that's going to be one of the worst in all of football. Raheem, with Buffalo now beating Baltimore and having this tiebreaker, and we know how important that can be down the stretch. And, I mean, at minimum, they're going 5-1 in the AFC East. They're probably going 6-0 in the AFC East. Don't we get the sense that Buffalo kind of is on a pathway easy? I know it's 1 week. They're kind of set up already to be the 1 seed. I'm glad I got that bet already in my holster.
Yeah, I mean, they got the Jets next week. Then you have the Dolphins. You're 8.5-point favorites against both of those. Then you have the Saints. You're 12.5-point favorites against them. Then you have the Patriots, 8.5-point favorites against them. So it's just they have a pretty easy schedule going forward. But when I look at that defense is an issue. And you could say some of that is defending Baltimore, but I don't know how you can trust this defense at all. So, I mean, Josh Allen's going to have to play like an MVP, but ultimately they're in a division that's super winnable for them, and it gives them an advantage. So ultimately, they're in position to get the 1 seed in the AFC, and that gives them an advantage.
House,
Totally
are you in the
agree.
same boat with Buffalo?
Of course.
Listen,
of course.
I know they have defensive struggles. That quarterback, that division, that schedule, and now you have a tiebreaker over Baltimore. I know it's 1 week. I'll be stunned if they're not the 1 seed, honestly.
I mean, you still got to play Kansas City. You got to play.
That's fine. Kansas City's got their own problems in their own division, which we'll get to.
But they play Kansas City week 9. Yeah. And that's after Rashee Rice gets back. Hopefully Xavier Worthy gets back. So, I mean, it is just
that's great.
Week.
Raheem, they might be 0-2 after playing the Eagles this week.
I reserve judgment.
I'm prepared for it. JJ, I will say this, looking at the Buffalo schedule in view of that defense and how compromised they are at safety, I do wonder about this Jets team. I'm just not going to dismiss this Jets situation out of hand.
I totally understand that. The Jets could easily cover in week 2. And they have beaten Josh Allen historically in the past. I don't think that's outrageous.
And week six against the Falcons also. I thought the Falcons with Penix, they moved the ball pretty well. I was impressed.
Their field goal kicker's another story, but I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to go there. You did, not me.
We can't. I mean, look, you just send all the kickers to the moon. Every single one of them, every bum, the bum in Cleveland, the bum in San Francisco has nobody to blame but themselves. I mean, they keep bringing that bum back, expecting a different kind of result. I can't imagine being a San Francisco 49er fan and seeing that trash heap come out to try and kick at anything that matters to the game.
Okay, guys, I'm going to give you one takeaway. Week 1 has happened. Any betting takeaway, any grand takeaway, you have an open forum on this house. You could take this any which way you want. You could call it an overreaction. You could call it an underreaction. You can call it something that just is like right in front of your face that you just got to scream out to the world here on YouTube, that you got to acknowledge to the Ringer Gambling Show audience on Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. What is your grand week 1 takeaway, Baltimore, Buffalo aside?
Green Bay delivered the goods. That was, I actually had a little bit of some speculative money on Detroit in that game. And when we did our pregame show yesterday, I talked about the idea that Detroit has been competitive with Green Bay, and Campbell has particularly had success against LaFleur. And they had won their last 3 games at Lambeau. Detroit had that Green Bay team. The addition of Micah Parsons, what that did, it was a force multiplier, and their ability. Now Detroit, the open question with them is how big of an impact does the change in offensive line mean? Well, it was a sizable impact. And I give a lot of credit to that Green Bay to Hafley. Everybody's going to be hearing Jeff Hafley's name over the course of this season if they play like that, because the secondary was on lock, but the pressure that they got up front, the one of the many crazy stats that came out of that Detroit Green Bay game was Jahmyr Gibbs with 10 receptions for a grand total of 30 yards. So that tells you how that defense is, how quick they are, how they're moving, how they're getting after the quarterback. Goff was uncomfortable all day. Green Bay is legit.
I mean, on that note, I think Detroit is done.
Done. Wow. Forget about 1 week. Forget about the Packers. Done. Explain, Raheem.
Well, right now they're minus 124 to miss the postseason. And you guys know I took them under 11 and a half wins. I also said take a shot on them to miss the postseason. Well, without Kevin Zeitler and Frank Ragnow, that offensive line isn't the same. And you can look at the run statistics from yesterday, and it lets you know that. And then without Ben Johnson, it's pretty clear that that offense isn't the same. So you look at Jared Goff, and this is according to Ben Barwell. Last year, over 40% of his passes led to a first down. Yesterday, it was about 32%, and that would have been 28th in the NFL. So the offensive line isn't the same. The offense isn't the same. You can't run the ball as well. So I just don't see this team making any noise at all. So it kind of confirmed it for me yesterday, but this is what I thought going in.
Listen, I bet him as an under for the season. I was concerned about losing Ben Johnson, losing Aaron Glenn, obvious changes on the offensive line. House, you were way more bullish on Detroit going into this year. So I think you're the perfect guy to ask this question. Is this the best buy low spot you can get with Detroit? Because a lot of folks like Raheem are going to say, hey, team poised for regression, a lot of things working against them, way better price now if you want to just take them to go and make the postseason. Are you going to now get some more action, Mr. House, on Detroit?
I'm not, because, my conviction was based on the fact that they had the talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to keep them in games until the offense comes around. The whole thesis was, yes, I do think it will be an impact on that offense for Ben Johnson to no longer be the shot caller. But the defense, to me, with the return of all those guys that were hurt, was supposed to fill in the void, was supposed to steady the ship. Green Bay moved the ball at will, and that game was not nearly as close as the final score turned out to be. I mean, Green Bay across the board in terms of success and EPA just crushed the Detroit defense. The Detroit defense was not up to the task, and so unless I see them steady the ship defensively, and it better happen fast because they have the Ravens in week 3. They are on the road at Baltimore, this Detroit team. And part of the challenge now is, where do the wins come from? Because they are at Kansas City. They have Tampa on their schedule. They are at the Eagles. They are at the Rams at the end of the season. I mean, I don't know. I think all of the unders feel pretty good right now. I need to see that defense get straight, but I'm not going to invest anything more into Detroit.
When do you think is the last time Detroit had 46 rushing yards?
Not last year. I was going to say maybe the 2022 season would be my guess.
It's probably before that. I mean, it's 46 rushing yards. They've built their status on their offensive line in the run game. And if they can't do that, then they have no identity.
I'm going to need a minute, guys. I'm going to need a minute, and I'm going to tell you why. Week 1 overreaction. It's not an overreaction. It's simply fact. The Miami Dolphins are an absolute disgrace. The Miami Dolphins are a dumpster fire. There's a reason why the odds makers made the Indianapolis Colts, with Daniel Jones, a quarterback who never wins in week 1, the Indianapolis Colts, the team that never wins in week 1, a 1.5-point favorite. Every narrative, every storyline that we dissected throughout the preseason about Mike McDaniel being lost, Mike McDaniel, the idea of the league figuring him out, Tua and the effect of the injuries, the concussions, the secondary that looked like they couldn't cover House, Raheem, and myself. I think Daniel Jones just threw another 25-yard out to a wide-open wide receiver. The Miami Dolphins, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, short them, short them, short them. You can't short them anymore. They stink. It's over. McDaniel, I loved you. Tua, I loved you. My heart was broken in 2023 when they choked down the stretch, when they lost to Kansas City in the wild card round, when they choked the division of Buffalo. I was there for the Monday night game against Tennessee. It's over, fellas. It's over. I am out on this team. They are not sucking me back in. I don't care if they beat Simmons, crummy Patriots. I don't care if they beat the Jets in week 4. It's over for these guys. It's over. It's over. I am not going to allow myself to work up the energy to believe anymore. I'm done. Guys, D-O-N-E. I am out on the Miami Dolphins with this quarterback, with this coach, with this regime. Out. They have it. Raheem?
Yeah, the kids on Twitter are calling him Tua turn the ball over. So
Well, that's what he did on Sunday against the Colts. I am so out on him. I am not allowing myself, House, to get emotionally invested in the Miami Dolphins for the rest of the season. I'm not going to.
I mean, the other thing I'm seeing is, number one Google search for the Dolphins. What's the dead money hit on Tua after this season? Because I just don't know what the point would be beyond this season sticking with him. It's over $79 million, by the way, the dead cap hit. But yeah, we are immediately staring at a must-win game, JJ. Now, we have seen poor performances in week one. Remember Denver a couple years ago gave up like 400 points in the first like 3 weeks, whatever it was. And then over the course of the season, Vance Joseph got that defense kind of, they came around and Denver was competitive, and it did kind of propel them into the version of Denver that is really competitive now. That would be your best case scenario. Like, whatever the explanation is for the lack of preparation, the inability to anticipate, the Colts. And the Colts, the impressive thing about the Colts is that they dominated both sides of the ball in the trenches. That offensive line gave Daniel Jones about 4.5 hours to throw the ball.
You could have made those throws, House.
Well, that's the most important
You would have
thing
been
for
slinging
him.
it like crazy.
Yeah, Daniel Jones with time, we recalled the success he had with the Giants half a decade ago. But on the defensive side, this is why the turnovers happen. The Colts were able to get into the backfield for the Dolphins, so it's a tough one for me, JJ. Must-win game this week, hosting the New England Patriots.
A loser leaves town, as Simmons likes to say. And listen, they may win in week 2 because the Patriots are not any good.
They are not.
Dolphins may go and win in week 2. This team is not sucking hope out of me because they've done such a great job of making me miserable and getting my hopes up and getting my excitement levels up over the last 3 years. I'm not going to get hurt anymore. It's over. They may cover a few numbers. They may win a few games. It's over for that regime down in Miami. Now, let's get to Monday night, guys. We have an interesting game ahead. I know Raheem is already on a certain side. I want to see if we're all going to be aligned on this particular side. You have the Minnesota Vikings as a small road favorite against the Chicago Bears. It is the debut of the duo of Ben Johnson as head coach, Caleb Williams as quarterback. The preseason hype train has been building up the Chicago Bears quite a bit over the last few weeks. Now, Minnesota, talented roster. Well-coached team. There is this great unknown. What is J.J. McCarthy as an NFL starting quarterback? Well, we are about to find out. Joe House, this is a very difficult game for me. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I will have a pick. I will give a play. But I have a hard time making a serious conviction with Bears-Vikings because I don't know if you're going to see the immediate transformation of Caleb Williams right out of the gate. And I don't know if there's going to be an adjustment period here for J.J. McCarthy. So I'll defer here. What is your read on Bears-Vikings right out of the gate? 43.5 is the total. Vikings favored by 1.5.
Yeah, so I do have conviction, and Bill Simmons and I convinced one another that the correct side is the Chicago Bears. We played on the Chicago Bears as a division home dog to start the season here. All of the trends, if you just want to talk big context, point in the direction of dogs. Just in terms of Monday Night Football dogs, 29-13-1 against the spread since 1998. And then the division home dogs, that number is north of 75% over like the last 20 years, and over the last 7 or 8 years, even better, like over 80% a division home dog against the spread. So what you're really doing is you're playing Chicago to win the game outright at 1.5 points, which is totally fine. We had a whole bunch of these divisional matchups this past week. weekend. Eight divisional matchups, and the home dogs only went 2-2. So that's another thing that I like in terms of pointing towards if the historical trends are going to play out. But that's just context. The specifics on the football field are as follows, in my humble opinion. The Minnesota Vikings are missing 5 guys on offense. Addison is out. Rondale Moore is out. Their fullback is on the IR. And they have a bunch of their receiver room with various sort of niggling injuries, that have been sort of nagging, in the background. And I just like the idea of taking advantage of a rookie quarterback here, notwithstanding all the respect we have for Kevin O'Connell. The Bears have gotten better in the front 7. I love the addition of Grady Jarrett. I love the second-round draft pick that they made, and their secondary was already a top 10 secondary, top 10, 12, depending on how you want to measure it. So let's put that kid in the position to have to make some hard decisions. At home on Monday night, I like the Bears.
Yeah, I think there's correlation between how the Lions performed yesterday and how the Bears will perform today. And
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I went into this week saying, look, my hypothesis is that Ben Johnson was probably probably the heart and soul of that Lions team. And he's going to bring that heart and soul to the Chicago Bears. So obviously we faded the Lions yesterday. Today we're going to take the Bears. And when I look at my model has this game 21-21. And with all of the home dog trends, you look at divisional dogs, 31-16, 66% in week 1. You look at dogs that missed the postseason, 59-45, 57%. It just puts you in a spot where I'm willing to play the trends. Now, I do have a prop.
Oh, so, I like this. Let's hear it.
You have J.J. McCarthy, essentially a rookie quarterback. You don't have a great, let me take that back. You got J.J. McCarthy. He's a rookie quarterback pretty much. And you know that he's going to have to rely on a security blanket. A lot of people going to think that's Justin Jefferson. I think in this matchup, it's Aaron Jones. I like Aaron Jones over 17.5 receiving yards. If you look at Aaron Jones, his last 8 games against the Bears, you're talking 4 receptions, 43 yards, 4 receptions, 34 yards, 3 receptions, 30 yards, 3 receptions, 38 yards, 5 receptions, 24 yards, 2 receptions, 86 yards, 5 receptions, 30 yards, 3 receptions, 23 yards, 2 receptions, 20 yards. So I think as a rookie quarterback, you're probably going to dump it off to your running back. And I think this number is low enough to where I think he gets over this rather easily. So that's my prop. I do like the Chicago Bears to win this game. I'm taking the +1.5, but I also really like that prop on Aaron Jones over 17.5 receiving.
Okay. Interesting, Raheem, because you mentioned security blanket, and I thought we were going to be simpatico with the same name. We're not. You're wrong with Aaron Jones. I'm looking at TJ Hawkinson. To me, that's where J.J. McCarthy is going to look to find comfort, specifically on third down. Tight end can be the quarterback's best friend. Obviously, McCarthy had a lot of success throwing to the tight ends from his time with Michigan. So I'm seeing TJ Hawkinson 40-plus receiving yards is at -136. I'm going to play that. I'm also going to play him at 50-plus receiving yards at +132. I'm also going to take a stab on Hawkinson to go and score a touchdown. So I'm going to kind of spread the wealth as far as TJ is concerned. And I think you guys are going to be happy to hear this. So I was very on the fence with this game. I have a lot of respect for the Minnesota Vikings coaching staff. But I just look at the matchup and I see rookie quarterback on the road, Monday Night Football. And on the other side, this is a coach that has gone up against Brian Flores' defenses quite a bit. So to me, that plays to the Chicago angle of this. We're going to make it 3 for 3 on this game. Hopefully the family play comes home to roost. I don't love it. It's definitely not one of my favorite plays of week 1, but it's Monday Night Football. What do you think? I'm going to come on the Ringer Gambling Show and not give you guys a play? To hell with that. I'm getting on board. I'm joining the family. That's right. I'm taking the Chicago Bears plus the 1.5. But big on Hawkinson today, House. That's the guy I'm playing in all the props.
I wrote his name down. I'm interested in getting a take on the total. We've had unders across the board in the NFL in week 1, and we have one team in the entire NFC that scored more than 24 points in week 1, and that was the Green Bay Packers. I am looking at the Minnesota Vikings team total at 22.5. That is a strong underplay for me. I love under 22.5 for the Minnesota Vikings team total, and I'm going to have something on the under for the total of this game also, under 43.5 on the FanDuel Sportsbook right now.
Oh, I like it. What do you think, Raheem? How you play a total?
I don't have anything on this. I don't. I mean, I have it 21-21. So it kind of makes sense to go under, but I'm staying away.
Okay, guys, we're going to bring a segment on Mondays that's right up the alley of Joe House and yours truly, JJ John Jastrzemski. We have it labeled the mulligan. I want to take it a step further, House. We're going to call it the breakfast ball. It is the breakfast ball because I hit a breakfast ball. I'm sure you have hit your fair share of breakfast balls over the years. They're needed. They're needed for those of you who play golf. And basically, we're going to go through the week card. We're going to look back and we're going to say the bet you would take back. And this one, Joe House, is right up your alley. I'm going to start with the New York Giants plus 6.5 against the Washington Commanders. You want to know why I would like a mulligan? I'd like a breakfast ball on this particular play. I grossly underappreciated and underestimated the loss of Andrew Thomas for the Giants and how completely different they look on the offensive line when he plays and when he doesn't. And I know this ended up being a 2-score game. I'm not an idiot. The Washington Commanders should have won this game by 3 scores. They played with their food the entirety of this game. Jaden Daniels probably gave you a B-. They would drop passes. They screwed up the end of the half. Washington should have won by 24-plus points. The Giant offense was an absolute disgrace. They couldn't run the ball. Nobody other than Malik Neighbors could go and make a play. And yeah, Joe House, I'm giving you my first mulligan and breakfast ball. Giants plus 6.5. I wish I could take it back.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. I felt very good about Washington in terms of winning that game, but we all did this with the Giants in Washington. I thought it was going to be close because I thought that defensive line for the Giants especially was going to be able to put some pressure. Man, Washington ran it down their throats. It's the same old garbage Giants. It's just talk. I do have 2 regrets and then a mulligan. I want to get to my regrets.
Oh, so we have regrets and a mulligan. Okay, that's fair.
I regret not putting enough money down on 2 bets that I did win. I can't believe that we were cautious in that Jacksonville, Carolina situation.
Yeah, I should have more on it too. That's an excellent point. Excellent point.
We won, but just not enough. Like, why did we think that last year some of those barely competent performances by Carolina would track into this year? They are the same, and I cannot wait to bet against them. Like, just prove it to me. I'll bet against them and then lose some money. But I mean, we should have won a lot more on Jacksonville. And then the under in that Houston Rams game was the lock of the century. And Dream made a great case, and I got down on it. The number was like in the 40s. It was like 42.5 or 43.5, some crazy number. No way those teams showed up offensively ready. So those are my regrets, not getting enough down on either one of those situations. I'll take the L on the one that's the mulligan, and that was the Chargers going down to Brazil and beating the crap out of the Kansas City Chiefs on both sides of the football. And it's on me. Jim Harbaugh outcoached Andy Reid. He showed up with an appreciation for the weapon that is Justin Herbert, and they had no issue whatsoever establishing pass protection for that man and out-scheming the defensive front of the Chiefs, which is supposed to be the strength of that team. They went 15-2 last year because of that defense, because of the pressure they were able to bring. I think Justin Herbert, speaking of having hours back there, he could not have been more comfortable, and that team played to win throughout the entire game. They did not revert to the run in the second half when they had a lead. They kept pushing the ball down the field. Herbert himself with his legs, he had the green light to get out there and run. It was a masterful performance on both sides of the ball. That Chargers defense was definitely up to speed, but the forecast coming into that game was what the Chargers were not going to be able to establish the run. And what does that receiver room look like? Well, Quentin Johnson looks like the first round draft pick that they hope for. And the Chargers are legit. That's the one I'd like to take back.
Yeah, totally fair. Totally fair, Raheem. The Chargers, a team that we all shorted going back to our preseason AFC West preview, they had a whole lot of grown men on the field on both sides of the ball. We know Harbaugh is a tremendous head coach. We might want a mulligan on that one.
Yeah, that was actually my mulligan and my biggest regret. I think I read the AFC West completely wrong because Justin Herbert is clearly going to make the leap. And you could argue the way he played on Friday night, he might be the third or fourth best quarterback in the league. I mean, he's right up there with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. So I think that is the biggest thing that I've read wrong. I mean, I think we all looked at the Rashawn Slater injury and we thought, maybe this offensive line wouldn't be able to perform. We all looked at the fact that last year they struggled against playoff teams. We all looked at the fact that last year they basically generated a lot of turnovers. And this year, I mean, they come into the season and they put the stop down on the Kansas City Chiefs. And with that, we all bought on the Denver Broncos. It's pretty clear that there's a limitation towards that offense with Bo Nix. He was 25 of 40, 176 yards, 2 interceptions. Look, as I always say, there's only so long fake thugs can pretend. The defense is good, but he puts a ceiling on that team. So I think we bought the wrong team out of the AFC West.
You might be right. And listen, Bo Nix, incredibly unimpressive in week 1. The good news is I am still alive in my survivor. After the debacle that was 2024, by the hairs on my chinny chin chin, Denver survive in advance, and I get to go and make a pick in week 2. All right, we're taking a break on the pod. You're watching the Ringer Gambling Show with the East Coast Bias crew right here on YouTube. Check us out Mondays, 12 Eastern, each and every week. We'll come back and dive into the week 2 bet we can't wait to make. And then we're going to welcome in Anthony Dabbundo, who, yes, can gloat. Steak dinner on me, but I got a monstrous, and I mean a monstrous bone to pick with my Syracuse buddy. We'll come right back. All right, we're still here on the YouTube stream. Raheem, you are my guy in Vegas. I know you are eyeing up these lines. You might have made this bet during the week 1 games. You might have made it before week 1 even got going. What is the week 2 bet, amigo, you, at this moment on a Monday, cannot wait to make?
All right, there's always a lot of movement on Monday morning, on Sunday night. I think this total's too low. Let's go Buffalo Bills, New York Jets, over 45.5. I don't know how either one of these teams are going to slow each other down. So I really like that one. And then also, I think you got the Cincinnati Bengals laying 3.5 against Jacksonville. Last week, Jacksonville, they took money in the market, got bet up to 4.5 against the Carolina Panthers. I think that game said a little bit more about the Carolina Panthers. So I am going to bet that Bills Jets total over right now, but I have my eye on the Bengals because I think this number is a little bit short based on what happened last week. Well, not last week, yesterday against the Carolina Panthers for the Jaguars. I just think at some point in time, we're upgrading Jacksonville and we're kind of downgrading Cincinnati. And if you look at Cincinnati, the defense actually played better than most people expected. And I know they probably should have lost against Cleveland, but, division games get weird. So I have my eye on that one.
House?
Yeah, I'm glad that Dream mentioned Cleveland. They're getting 11.5 at Baltimore. That's just too many points. I respect everything about Baltimore, but just recall last season how it took them a little while. I think it's going to take them a minute to recover. The Cleveland Brown defense showed up yesterday, and the Cleveland Browns should have won that football game in multiple ways, except for, two genuinely bad luck interceptions where the ball hit the receiver's hands and bounced into Bengals defenders' hands. And then the kicker, another one, send that dude, send him to Pluto, send him to Uranus, because that's where he belongs. I don't even know how to say his name, but it sure does look like shits or whatever. I don't know. 11.5, that's a tiny play. I'm gonna overreact and get into the Cardinals. I'm gonna play the squarest play on the entire board, and that is the Cardinals -6.5 at home hosting the Carolina Panthers. Anything less than a touchdown against this Panthers team with what they showed in terms of their inability to slow down a rush. It's the same old Panthers. Let me just have anything less than a touchdown until we see some basic competence. It might come this week, and I could lose this bet. And I'll just put my hand up and say I lost the bet because I speculated that Carolina could not get things in order fast enough. But Arizona -6.5 at home. Revenge in their mind. Remember, they lost 36-30 at Carolina last year, and it really did just crush the Cardinals' opportunity to make the playoffs. So I think they get revenge, and I think they win by margin.
Guys, you know this full well. Nobody loves Baker Mayfield more than me. Nobody loves this Tampa team, other than maybe Cousin Sal, more than me in 2025. However, I hate the spot for them coming up week 2 against the Texans. Absolutely, positively hate the spot for them. They're coming off an emotional division game. They go on the road now for the second straight week, and that Texan defense can still ball out. And you're seeing a line that's making the Texans a small favorite. I fully expect that the Baker Mayfield, the Buka Buzz, Sunday night primetime game, the feeling I get in that game, fellas, is everybody's going to line up and say, I can't wait to bet the Bucs. I will be going the other way in that game. I will be absolutely taking the Houston Texans. I've already betted it -1.5, and I think Houston is going to find a way to win in week number 2. Okay, quick break for the pod, and then we get to Dabbundo, where I will give him his flowers, and I'm going to give him some crap. Twofold. It's coming up next. All right, Dabundo's here. I'll start with the positive, buddy boy. I'll start with the positive because I am a
for me or for you?
Spirited. What's that?
Positive for me or for you?
No. Positive for you. Positive for you. I'm going to be a very good sport here. We made a steak dinner bet on the Dolphins and Colts. You have now won the bet. I'm going to give you 2 options here. We can have dinner at Ringer Core Week on JJ's dime. Great steakhouse in Los Angeles of your choice. We can make it happen. It's on my tab. Put the Amex down. Away we go. Or the next time you venture to New York, which maybe is in the postseason for your Phillies, maybe it's at some point over the next few months, you get to go to the world-renowned Peter Luger's Steakhouse. What would you prefer?
I think we'll do New York because
you want to go to Luger's?
LA,
that a boy? You want to go to Luger's?
Yeah.
You know what? Right answer there. Right answer. And I do have some thoughts on your Colts that I want to get to because it's a game I'm eyeing up for week number 2. This is where now I got to give you some crap, buddy. No updating standings with 4 or 5 minutes left in the game when your boy is going to be on the wrong end of it. That was the minute. Forget about anything that was going on in the game. We're in a group thread, Ringer 107, and yeah, I'm a little salty. I had the Ravens. Yeah, I lost money on the game. Yeah, I lost the Ringer 107 pick. But Dabbundo is literally going through the win-loss records with 5 minutes to go. Dabbundo, Josh Allen is on the other side of the field.
Well, look, I mean, I should have known better. We've seen Baltimore do this.
Thank
how many times
you.
now?
No more of that. That's all I need to hear. I'm sorry. Can I get an I'm sorry?
I am sorry.
Good
I'm not going to
job.
say
Good
who started
job.
it, but we
Thank
all know
you.
who started it on that front.
I still love you.
Oh,
I
Simmons
still love
started
you.
it.
Yeah,
I
he
had to give
started
you some
talking
crap
about
for
everybody's
that because
records.
I was cursing you out last night.
Yeah,
I'm not
it
going
was
to lie.
both. The
And so I
Podfather
figured I would
started
just
it.
give a nice little tabulation for everybody to have. And I have to now update those tabulations because I think 3 or 4 of the 5 teams had Baltimore in the Ringer 107. So yeah, the difference in feeling between a 3-2 week and I use the same 5 in my
It's
contest
gigantic, Dabbundo.
and a 2
We
and
were gonna be
3, it just hits
3-2.
you like
Now
a ton
with
of
2 and
bricks.
3, we feel like losers. And
Yeah.
the contest that I'm in Las Vegas, I had Baltimore as well. And guess what? It's 2 and 3 instead of 3 and 2. I feel like crap. You're right.
And I also, I mean, Sal and I had Seattle too, which, you know, they probably didn't deserve to win that game, but they also were 5 yards away from winning that game and some questionable decision making from my guy, Mike McDonald, down the stretch there. So yeah, a disappointing day. It could have been better, but you know what? I will not mind in maybe 2-3 months when I get down to New York or up to New York to
You'll
cash
enjoy
in.
your steak. And listen,
Absolutely.
So here's the dirty little secret. So will I. It'll taste great. It's just going to be a little bit more expensive for you boys. So you know what? It means a couple more units, maybe win a couple more bets, and then we don't have to worry about it. All right, Dabbundo, I'm sorry that I had to Bogart a little bit here with a couple of housekeeping issues before we get to 3 and out. In all seriousness, it is great to see you on a Monday. You have 3 takes for us. Point number 1, what's it going to be?
Yeah, this works well because you guys just talked about Houston yesterday. I am very concerned. I mean, it's this new year, right? New offensive coordinator, same Texans. I mean, the data on them from yesterday is alarming. They had, the same sack issues that they've had pretty much all of CJ Stroud's career. The early down offense. If you go back to 2 years ago and going into last season, we were like, well, Houston, they kind of make it work on third down. It's never pretty. Early down, they were 27th yesterday out of all the teams that played. Only teams that were worse were Cleveland, Denver, and Tennessee. And they had the 4th worst pass block grade per PFF. And they had offensive line injuries. And I did a rewatch of the game this morning. And I just get the sense that whether it's bad habits coming back, whether it's the problems, the scar tissue from this offensive line for CJ Stroud, he is developing habits where he is now taking his eyes off the rush or off the downfield and into the rush and not making good decisions. And if you just bracket Nico Collins out of games, it's very, very easy to defend this team because at least when they had Tank Dell, when they had Joe Mixon as a reliable receiving option out of the backfield, they had different options they could go to. I mean, it was a lot of forcing balls into tight windows against pretty covered and inexperienced receivers yesterday for Houston. And we like the Rams front. We like their defense, but this is not like an elite defense by any stretch that they played yesterday. They didn't get the ball into the end zone. So I think everything we concerned about with the Houston offense, I think it's increased considerably because now it's not just offensive coordinator. Now it's a pattern of the quarterback, of the O-line over multiple coordinators. And that's where I'm pretty concerned about them, especially with Tampa coming to town next week.
Yeah, I get it, Dabbundo, but at the same time, House, that defense still looked tremendous against the Los Angeles Rams. And I think that's going to be the calling card for the Texans. Look, I was hesitant to look at Houston and put them in the groupings with the big boys within the AFC because of the concerns I have on offense. Not having Joe Mixon, offensive line issues, new offensive coordinator. Stroud, what quarterback is he? The guy we saw 2 years ago, the guy we saw for most of last year. House, I think those concerns are validated with the Texans. I also think I'm getting them in a really good spot in week 2.
I agree with all of that. I mean, we did our best in anticipating, forecasting, handicapping the fact that Houston needed to show us something on offense. And I think the Mixon injury is especially poignant for this offense. He was so multi-talented in terms of creating options for them on those early downs. The fact that they don't have an answer to Mixon on early down, that the play calling continues, that's the mystifying thing to me. It needs to be addressed right away. They have to have some kind of dynamic, whether it's motion, whatever it is, to establish on those early downs an advantage for their quarterback, because Dabbundo just laid it out for us. You can't have him not looking down the field. I mean, that is, it just eliminates their single best weapon. But we were all like, Houston to win the AFC South, and I didn't see anything from yesterday to suggest that we made the wrong call there.
I did.
I did. See, it's funny. I like him in week 2, House. I saw plenty that would have me concerned.
So let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Here's the thing. Houston, CJ Stroud got sacked 3 times, and he was pressured on 41% of his dropbacks, and he got hit 7 times. So I don't think the issue was CJ Stroud. I think the issue is just the offensive line. And I think if you just had a competent offensive line, CJ Stroud would be able to do some things, and they still almost won that game. I mean, look, if Wale doesn't fumble at the end, they're on the 18-yard line on second down, and it looked like the Rams defense was starting to wear down. I think they might have got it into the end zone. But ultimately, I thought CJ Stroud played as well as you could when you have multiple holding calls, false starts, illegal shifts. You're getting sacked. You're getting hit. I don't know any quarterback. You could have put Patrick Mahomes. You could have put Lamar Jackson. You could have put Josh Allen behind that offensive line, and I think you still get the same result. But when it comes to other teams in the AFC South, I think right now Indianapolis looks.
Oh, here we go.
They look legit, and I mean, I know it was
How
just
much of that though
Miami.
was my crummy team? That to me is going to be the great question of week 2, Raheem, because you're right. Daniel Jones was slinging it. The Colt defense with my guy from Staten Island, Lou Anarumo. You know I love Staten Island Lou. He's drawn up defenses like he's back at Susan Wagner High School making Tua and McDaniel look like total clowns. How much of that is the Miami factor? How much of that is the progress in Indianapolis? Now, Dabbundo, I don't know if the Colts were working their way into the 3-and-out conversation, but you got to be stoked after that game.
It is exciting. I think that you're going to hear a lot of comparisons to last year's Vikings, right? Like the mid-career resurgence of a veteran quarterback that we all know has a lot of flaws. I came into the season like pretty excited about the Colts skill group. I mean, if you just think about the different skill sets they have with Pierce's ability to win on deep passes and in contested catches, with Pittman's reliability underneath, with Mitchell's ability to get open, Downs is such a good separator.
And Warren is
Warren
dude, you're
and Taylor.
So lucky to have Warren on your team, man. That guy's such a winning player. He's fantastic.
I think they're the most underrated skill group in the league. There's no like dominant wow standout player, but I think they're incredibly underrated. And so the one good takeaway I have is actually not even on the offense, but the defense. The difference between essentially not having a defensive coordinator for multiple years with Gus Bradley to Big Lou putting Tua in the blender yesterday. I think it all portends to this defense taking a step forward. The coverage graded out pretty well. The pass rush got home. And now they face next week a Denver team that, they played Denver last year in December. Denver could not move the ball at all. Denver was handed the game by multiple stupid turnovers.
I think I'm betting Indianapolis.
I took Indy at 3.
Mistake when Daniel Jones throws
it's 2.5 at this point in time. So I think a lot of the value is all but gone. I mean, when I look at my model, I actually have these teams evenly matched. I think I have it.
We're on Indy.
Look at this. The Colts getting love in the model already.
Well, it's a no play. I mean,
is it an under? Is it an under though?
We have to see this Colts play a defense. I mean, there was nothing. We saw nothing. We learned absolutely nothing.
They played flag football.
That's exactly right.
Everybody was wide open the whole game. It was remarkable. The misdirection, the play action.
Although, Dabbundo, I am convinced Anthony Richardson would have airmailed those stars. So I'm just saying.
They would have won that game going away with Richardson, too. I mean, again, the Dolphins are a joke. And I'm sorry, JJ, but there was always the potential. I know there was a late.
It's totally. And let me say, Dabbundo, anybody who bets them on Sunday is an idiot. Sorry.
Really? I kind of think that they're a little live.
Oh, dude, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I mean, how on earth are they a pick 'em at home against New England? I'm sorry.
They're a pick 'em now? I saw -1.5.
Essentially, I mean, -115 on the money line.
Why?
I mean, they actually opened 2.5.
Yeah. You can't bet the Dolphins.
I'm close to 3 there, but I was pretty low on New England. I think
that's the takeaway that's fair. The Patriots are not any good. It's just the Dolphins are more dysfunctional and they're going to be a dumpster fire. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, I just think New England, like Miami's biggest weakness yesterday wasn't even the Tua stuff, although they couldn't throw any pass they tried to throw down the field was completely cooked. I was more concerned with the defense, especially the secondary. Again, Colts, really good skill group. New England, really bad skill group. Like no
really bad
passer, pass catchers really. And May looked really rattled yesterday. I want to make one point though, because we kind of skipped over this. The Tampa Bay game. How do we not like under there? I mean, both of those games yesterday, Atlanta got all their offense off of a couple explosives on like short dump offs that went to the house and Penix scrambles. And Tampa couldn't do anything on early downs. It was all Baker third down hero ball. I feel like this game, this Tampa Bay Houston game, has the potential to be both teams getting into third and long a lot because I don't think either are going to be able to run the ball. Tampa Bay really shuts down run games as well as anybody. Vita Vea continues to be a menace. So Houston's not able to run it. And if they get into these third and long situations, it's going to be both quarterbacks trying to play hero. I think that under looks good to me, and it's taken some money, but I still see 43.5 out there.
I agree with that. I'm actually
not talking me out of it.
I'm on 42 with my model.
Right.
Okay.
So it's just like my model agrees with, and like you said, it's taking some money. I think what was it, 46?
It was, yeah. Well, that was the early open. I mean, Tampa Bay, in theory, should be explosive, but I thought their offensive line looked pretty bad yesterday.
They shouldn't have won the game.
They shouldn't have
won. I mean, let's be real. They shouldn't have won the game. Okay. So you like the under in that game. Concerns about the Texans. second down, Dabbundo.
I am not concerned about the Cincinnati offense at all. I feel like we can't do they always stink weeks 1 and 2. And then when they stink in weeks 1 and 2, be like, oh, well, now we got to be worried. I mean, they've done this every year, and they've also struggled in this matchup.
They struggle with Cleveland, Dabbundo.
Every year.
That's an excellent point. They struggle with Cleveland, period.
I did hit under 26.5. I did give
That
this
boy
out
has.
on the
Definitely
Ringer
gave it
pregame.
out.
For Christ's sakes, I tried to make people some money. We were all over it together as a team here. Sorry,
I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's the same game that played out last year. I mean, we talked about this yesterday on the show. We all liked Cleveland. Cincinnati last year in the game at Cleveland when Deshaun Watson was playing quarterback, returned the opening kick and then got completely dominated for the rest of the game, snuck out a win by a touchdown. Yesterday, they had 7 net yards in the second half, snuck out a win, got some lucky breaks. I was celebrating my boy Andre Schmidt in the first half, and then it quickly turned sour for my guy. But
Why is he your guy?
well, he's a Syracuse guy. He was roommates with
I
a
wouldn't-
close friend.
Don't confess that.
I know.
No,
I
he's
was
one of
I was
us.
celebrating it in group chats in the first half. Like, oh, I used to drink beers with him in college. Like, look at me. And then I had to go apologize in the second half.
Yeah, he's
Oh, my-
losing people money.
My buddies who
Yeah.
had Cleveland money line were mad. I mean,
Oh.
Cleveland special teams are a joke. I mean, if they could
Yes.
figure out the kicker situation, then you could actually sell me on Cleveland being something, because I actually thought the Cleveland offense was pretty good relative
was
to what I
competent.
expected.
It was competent.
Harold
That's how I would
Fannin-
describe it. Competent.
Effective. Samson, the running back, legitimately explosive with the ball in his hand. So I think this Cleveland offense gets an upgrade, but I'm also not downgrading the Cincinnati offense at all. And I think you guys are on the right scent, which is that they should just control and move the ball comfortably against a Jacksonville defense that has not been tested.
That's a good spot with Cincinnati laying 5.5. Raheem was all over that. All right. So we had Houston down 1.
Was 3.5.
down 2. It was 3.5. Now 5.5. Just throwing
It's
it out there.
when did it go to 5.5?
I'm seeing 5.5s in the market.
It's all over the place between 3.5, 5.5, depending on. what bookie we have.
There's no way this line is at 5.5. It's
Oh,
at
that's it.
3.5.
FanDuel has 3.5 still. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
like y'all tripping.
I'm looking on the consensus apps. I don't know why I see 5.5 right now. I'll take that one. That's my bad. That's my
A lot of Monday morning bouncing around.
Yeah, if
happening.
it was
It's bouncing
5.5,
around.
fun.
Listen, you know what? This is what happens when your Monday chaos is
if
tricky
it was
for you.
5.5, I might have ran out of the studio right now.
You might have moved that market, Raheem. You never know with you. Okay, take 3, Dabbundo.
All right. I think a lot of people are going to talk about the Chiefs offense coming out of the Friday night game. I come out of that worried about the defense.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys hinted at the pass rush stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What about the secondary? What do we really know about the Chiefs secondary? They struggled last year in the Super Bowl, right? That was the big storyline. They took away Barkley, but they got torched through the air. And you could, say, okay, they were drawing dead in that game pretty quick because their offense didn't show up. But I'm just never going to be that worried about a Chiefs offense. I mean, they still finished the game top 10, or the week top 10 in EPA per play. They moved the ball at will in the second half. A little bit of slow start, but it's week 1. I don't really think the offense is that much of a concern. However, the defense, and that's where we get into this week 2 game. Philly has taken some money, then it bounced back. We saw some KC action early this morning on the board. I think it's probably rightly lined as a pick 'em, but I'm just talking longer term in terms of this Chiefs defense. They got pretty fortunate with how the schedules broke last year, where they had to play a bunch of shitty pass offenses in the second half of the season, or injured pass offenses in the second half of the season. What changes now as they go to play a full strength Philly, right? And you look at the schedule, they got to play a full strength Chargers. The schedule early in the season here, they're going to play some pretty good pass offenses. And I just wonder, we saw them have like a really good defense for like 2-ish years. If that takes a step back and they're required to dial up more offense as a result, do they have enough explosiveness? I kind of feel like the answer is no.
We just
So
saw
let's
it.
go. The
Yeah.
Kansas City schedule. They got the Eagles. This line at 1.5 house. What's your initial read on Kansas City being favored in this game?
Well, it flipped because I think last night.
It's back to KC.
Yeah, KC's favored by 1.5. I think last night Philadelphia was favored, but on FanDuel, I'm looking at it right now. Kansas City at -102, so that tells you, which way the market's moving. But I like the Philadelphia side. I mean, I just, they barely scratched the surface of what they're capable of offensively, I felt like, against Dallas last week. And Dallas, they were compromised on defense. They were missing important pass rush
They might be
component.
missing that all year.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to be missing it all year. But yeah, I'm going to prefer the Eagles, mainly because here's the thing about that Chargers game. To me, it looked just like the Super Bowl in terms of the Chargers owning both sides of the ball. They
Line of
pushed the
scrimmage.
Chiefs around at the line of scrimmage on both sides. And guess what? This is the same Philadelphia team that just did that to now. They did lose a whole bunch of that up front pass rush that the Eagles did. So it's not the exact same team. But concept-wise, yeah, I'm going to prefer the Eagles here.
So the model loves the Eagles here, but I don't know what the Eagles are, because we watched them play a Cowboys team that was supposed to be one of the worst defenses in the league, and they didn't score the entire second half. And I know that there was that weird delay, but you look at the Eagles offense, it just felt like it lacked imagination.
Yeah.
It felt like the offensive coordinator leaving really hurt them. So I don't know what they are at this point in time. And then defensively, they had to go out there and sign a new pass rusher because the pass rusher wasn't there. So I predicted the Eagles to take a step back this year, and it felt like that watching that Cowboys game. And I felt like the Cowboys would be mediocre, but this is kind of a stay away from me. And this Chiefs offense, without Xavier Worthy, without Rashee Rice, I just get the sense that they're not going to have a ton of explosiveness.
Where are the explosives coming
So
from?
I'm actually kind of leaning under in this matchup. And, FanDuel has it 46.5. It's juiced to the under. I kind of want to see where this goes, but I'm leaning towards the under more so than the side.
I will say, Philly only had 7 possessions. They scored on 4 of them, 24 points. It's like not bad, but you are right. It got worse in the second half. It's a very different matchup, though. I mean, we saw, again, the Super Bowl, Kansas City was extremely aggressive. They brought pressure. They stacked the line. They dared Hurts to beat them, and the Eagles receivers won their matchups. But Dallas came out last week with a totally different plan. They said, well, we don't really have a pass rush. We're going to play extremely passive. We're going to sit in our zones. We're going to force everything underneath. And you saw that. I mean, Hurts only had 1 completion more than 8 yards down the field. I suspect that will be a lot different in this game. So it is a different matchup for me, but I don't feel strongly one way or the other on the side, to be honest.
Okay, boys.
At this point.
Week 2. Board is yours. It's very early. I understand it's very early. But I'm giving you all an opportunity to make a bet on the card that is now in front of us. It can be for Thursday night. It can be for the weekend. Take your pick. Joe House, the week 2 bet you have already made.
Well, I will say that I am fearful of what Green Bay is capable of against my beloved Washington Commanders on Thursday night. Short week for Washington. Green Bay getting to just stay at home and handle their business. And that line feels right. I think it's, was it 3.5 or 4.5?
3.5,
whatever it
I
is.
saw,
3.5. I bet it moves in the meantime, but I'm not betting against my team. I'm not doing that.
Can't be doing that. Not with
I
James,
am
your quarterback. Come on.
As forecasted, I am laying the 6.5 with the Arizona Cardinals against the Carolina Panthers. That's an overreaction. It is a square play. It's Arizona at less than a touchdown against a team that I think remains as moribund on defense as we saw all last season. So that's my play.
James Conner alts, right? Just load him up.
That's it.
A lot of
That's
James
Ladder
Conner.
Connor.
One thing I know
Connor.
Arizona can do is run it. So
They can run it. Raheem, a week 2 bet you want to make.
Well, yeah, we spoke about this earlier. I like Buffalo and the Jets over 45.5. And then also I'm leaning towards Cincinnati minus the 3.5. Now, House brought up the Packers Washington game. I think that game's interesting because this got bet down from 4.5. It's now 3.5. I think Washington's going to take money.
Yep.
You think so? Yeah.
Okay.
That hook is going to be gone by game time.
And I'll be laying Green Bay.
I
will be too. I'm right there with you, Dabbundo. But I don't want to
3.
talk crap because I bet against House's team last week and I looked like an idiot. So I'm gonna tread lightly on this one.
Yeah, I think that hook is going to be gone. And then honestly, as far as the total, well, I'll say my thoughts on that. But
I'll say
Why
this.
are you
I
saving
think
your thoughts?
after
For Thursday night.
Yeah.
After 1 week, which team is most likely to have a top 5 offense and defense in the NFL? I think the answer I would say is the Green Bay Packers. If you had to say you have to have both, who's most likely to be top 5 in both? It's Green Bay. I'm not saying they're the best team. I'm not saying they're going to go win the Super Bowl, but I feel that pretty strongly. I mean, what we saw with Green Bay yesterday, they were always a very solid, fundamentally sound defense last year. Now they had a difference maker with Parsons, and like he only played 30 snaps, but
and he still made his presence felt on every third down. It was crazy.
A difference.
Here's a number for you. Last year, Detroit played Green Bay twice. First meeting, 47% success rate. That was in the crazy rain, moisture game. It was like hailing, I think, during the
game at Lambeau, not the Thursday night game in Detroit.
Right.
Correct.
47%. The second meeting, 52% in the Dome at home. Those would have been in the top 10 in the league, 52%, top 5 in the league. Yesterday, 40% success rate for Detroit.
How much is that Detroit though? Because we know
that's I think
it's a combination of the two.
Yeah.
Because I think Detroit is not the same without the offensive linemen, Kevin Zeitler and Frank Ragnow and Ben Johnson. I mean, they have 46 rushing yards. So I do think this is a big test for Green Bay. And that's why I think Washington is ultimately going to take money in this matchup.
The backdoor potential will be there too. I mean, Daniels.
See, that's what scares me about getting that game at 3.5. You nailed it. I get 3.5 and I watch Jaden come right down the field and backdoor the game. He easily could do that.
You could just, I laid the money line for what it's worth. I laid minus 175 already. I'm not afraid to lay a big money line price. I do it in baseball way too much, but I think it's worth a bet.
Is that the only bet you like here for week 2, Dabbundo?
Indy, I would wait. I think you might get 3 again. And I have not fired yet on the 2 unders, but the 2 unders that immediately stood out to me were Denver, Indy, and Houston, Tampa. I don't think either offense matches up well with either defense.
Well, on that Houston-Tampa note, that's the bet I've already made for week 2. I think you will see a Houston Texan bounce back. I think their defense will lead the way. I will take them laying the small number against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, guys, another one. I didn't make this one. Am I crazy to like the Jets plus 8.5, or am I just being a complete sucker after what I saw last week or Sunday?
Well, that number's 7 now.
So you should like the Jets 8.5.
Oh, wow, it's down to 7. See, I did not see that. Yeah, down to 7. 7 and 115 on FanDuel.
I mean, the McDermott defense has done this like every year. When they play turnover-prone or weaker quarterbacks, they get the turnovers. And then when they don't, they kind of get exposed as a fraud. And we saw that last night. I mean, Raheem's been on this all year. Buffalo last year was 28th in defense when you remove turnovers. If Justin Fields takes care of the ball, the safeties stink. The linebackers, I thought Bernard and Milano were terrible last night. They were getting picked on. I mean, they're very vulnerable to everything the Jets did yesterday. I have still not rewatched Pittsburgh Jets. I got to rewatch it. I don't know how that happened.
The best game of the day, other than Baltimore.
It never made it on the screen Buffalo. For me. I had no money on it. It was a local game, so
fun
I didn't
game.
Feel like
a lot of fun.
Stream. Yeah.
But see, that's why I like the over in this matchup, because to me, if you're playing the Jets at plus 7, you're basically saying Justin Fields is going to keep.
He's going to be able to keep up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like, why am I trying to thread the needle and get the Jets when I know that Aaron Rodgers threw 4 touchdowns? This is Larry Holmes, Aaron Rodgers. This is not like Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay.
The Jets don't have a second corner, and that's a problem. That's a big problem.
So it's like, I mean, we saw Josh Allen.
Could be George Foreman, Aaron Rodgers. Could be.
Yeah, he's going to be in the playoffs this year. Mark it down. He's going to be in the playoffs, and he's winning a playoff game. He's winning a playoff game this year.
Really?
Yes.
You're playing your flag on that?
I said it in the summertime. I'm saying it
He's
again
winning
now.
a playoff game. Wow.
He's winning a playoff game.
Am I booking another steak dinner bet between Anthony?
No, I've given up enough dinners over the last week. So
come on, you got to get your lick back. You got to get your lick back.
I think I was on this show with House, maybe. Do you know who the president was the last time that the Steelers won a playoff game?
It was
Steelers.
Me. Yeah, let these guys go because I know the answer now.
Don't say it. It's got to be Obama.
Yep. January of 2017.
Yeah, it was the 16th season and the 17th, and they got steamrolled by the Patriots. So, yeah, it was Obama.
Yep. Think about that.
It's a long time.
They've been in every year. Maybe. I mean, I would come away – if I were a Pittsburgh fan, I feel like the defense looking just absolutely useless in week 1, which has not happened for like a decade for them. is a bigger problem than Aaron Rodgers showing signs of life in week
I
one.
thought you were going to tell
It's
me,
good.
Dabbundo, you liked Seattle in week 2. I was expecting you to come on with that. Just throwing it out there.
You know, interesting thing, and I
The
don't know
offense
if I
looked
remember
pretty
this,
shaky yesterday.
but I did give out the Pittsburgh Steelers about a month ago, -1.5. You go
Yeah.
back to our preview pods. I gave that out because I knew that this line wouldn't be there. I got a question for everybody, though.
Yes. Parting shot. I love it.
Okay. What unit on any team, offense or defense, is most likely to improve and be much better than they were in week 1? Because last year we saw the Baltimore Ravens, their defense was horrible, but towards the end of the year, they became a top 5, top 10 unit. So to answer that, ask that question.
I'm going to start. Kansas City Chiefs defense. They will not be as bad as they were in week 1. They're too well coached. They're still too talented. I'm not saying they don't have warts and deficiencies. They're not maybe the same defense they were. They're not going to look like that all year. In Spags, we trust. I'll say Kansas City's defense.
That's funny. I was going to say Kansas City's offense, but that's just a function of getting some healthy receivers into a receiver room.
That's why I have that skepticism there with Chiefs offense.
I know. But when are they going to have a healthy receiver room? When's the first
when
time
they
we're gonna
trade
see
when
them?
they trade for Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek. I was going to say Tyreek. When the Dolphins get
That's not even a joke.
4th rounder back.
They should do that.
I laugh, but I'm serious.
They should do it now. Like what? Why wait?
It would be a great reunion. I mean, I don't know what Tyreek has left, but he's got to be more
He's
than
still
whatever
better
they're
than the
getting.
guys they're running out.
Whatever they're getting out of Hollywood Brown and a lot of Justin Watson in the Kansas City offense the other day. That was scary stuff.
Boys.
I mean, the obvious answer I think would be Cincinnati's offense, but that's like a layup. So
no, that doesn't count. That's not allowed. They play Cleveland in week 1. They should be exempt from this discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going Houston offense because I read about their.
No,
panic.
me neither. I have questions there. Are you joining us on the Bears today, Dabbundo?
I'm on the under tonight. 44.
Sure.
I got 43.5 is fine. I mean,
Great.
I agree that there is a correlation between Lions and Bears success, and that the worse the Lions are, maybe Ben Johnson was the real genius. That might be the case. Can I preemptively say the Bears offense now, assuming they're going to be bad tonight and then play better as the season goes on?
I'm going to say ATL's offense.
There's a lot of uncertainty with this matchup. I wrote in my Ringer preview last week that this is the week 1 overreaction game. I feel like maybe Detroit Green Bay has supplanted that, but like if Minnesota's good with McCarthy, then we're just gonna be like, all right, same old Minnesota coordinators are geniuses. If they stink, then the whole charade comes apart. Bears, like, is Ben Johnson a genius or an idiot? Might be decided by the third quarter. Caleb Williams, prove it game for him. So there's a lot of uncertainty, but I mean, we talked about this. Unders are 12-3 now. All the teams that had a lot of turnover in the offseason on offense were pretty bad, with the exception of the Jets and the Steelers. So I think this all points to the under. I love Flores and Allen, the 2 defensive coaches in this game. So
Rolling with the under. Boys, that's going to do it for a Monday East Coast Bias with the Ringer Gambling Show. Anthony Dabbundo, I look forward to steak. It'll be enjoyable. But no more record tweets. No more record texts.
That's
allowed.
fine.
Not allowed.
We're all tied for first at 2-3.
Yeah, well, we should have had one more win, and I would have felt even better about a winning record after the first week of the year. But
Oh, are we all 2-3? Because I know Bill and House have Chicago tonight.
Yeah,
no,
we have
there
Chicago
might be
tonight.
there
We're
might be
1-3
a
right
three
now.
in there too.
Yeah, we're
so,
1-3.
1-3.
Oh
at
man,
the moment.
the only win was the parlay, right?
Chicago. Yep.
Hey, listen, long way to go. For Joe House, Raheem Palmer, Anthony Dabbundo, John Jastrzemski signing off. Remember, Ringer Gambling, 12 Eastern, each and every day. I'll be back with Raheem Palmer and Ariel Epstein on Thursday. Dabbundo, you're back tomorrow. House,
Wednesday.
you're back Wednesday. Okay, I can't keep
Me and
track of
Dabbundo
everybody's
together with the cousin Sal on Wednesday, trying to get dirty.
Oh,
with these
you guys will get
bets.
very dirty.
Yeah.
Very, very
Phillies
dirty.
Mets this week too. I mean, Sal and I might not be on speaking terms by Thursday.
Good luck to
Honestly,
both of you.
this series means nothing for the Mets. It means nothing for the Mets. They just need to get themselves right for the playoffs. They're dead in the division. Dead. They blew it. They had that big series 2 weeks ago. They could have made up ground. They're back to 7 out. Yankees only 2 back of the Blue Jays. Oh, baby. If only they could put that loser Volpe on the bench, we might be cooking with something here. All right, that's my baseball thought. Boys are out. Be good, everybody.